Tonight, the search for answers is coming to an end. Ruben Ebron pleads guilty in the death of 20-month-old Lonzie Barton. Heather Crawford and Shannon Ogden are live tonight from the Duval County Courthouse with the latest on Ebron's sentencing.
Good evening, Jeannie. Well, Chief Tom Hackney, who really has been the face of this case from the beginning, said today that the plea deal with Ebron that was accepted here at the courthouse today wasn't easy. He said the facts that we can prove versus the emotions we feel don't always match. Ruben Ebron sentenced today to 20 years in prison for aggravated manslaughter in the death of that little toddler, Lonzie Barton. He told prosecutors, he told authorities that Lonzie drowned in the bathtub while he and Lana Barton, the boy's mother, left him unattended.
In addition to 20, he also got 11 years in prison. This is for other charges: child neglect, lying to police, and tampering with evidence. We have team coverage for you tonight on this very high-profile case, and we begin with Lisa Robbins with details from inside the courtroom.
We knew something big was going to happen when we saw JSO Chief Tom Hackney walk into the courtroom along with several other homicide detectives who've been actively working the Lonzie Barton case. They walked in about 10 minutes before the hearing started. Today, Ruben Ebron confessed to what happened to the little blue-eyed boy, and his attorney read a prepared statement on his behalf detailing what he did and why he did it.
I hope my efforts over the past 4 weeks and this plea today provide some measure of closure to everyone involved, including the Jacksonville and McClellan communities.
After 6 months of lies, the truth about what happened to 21-month-old Lonzie Barton was finally revealed in open court. The hearing was tense for all parties involved. The homicide detectives, who've worked hundreds of hours to bring closure to this case, sat directly in front of Ruben Ebron's parents, who were equally upset to learn what happened to the little boy. Prosecutors say Ebron covered up Lonzie's death and staged an elaborate kidnapping story before dumping his body on the south side last July. Police say Lonzie drowned in a bathtub full of water while Ebron and his mother, Lana Barton, were having sex in the other room. They say Lana went to work at a local gentleman's club shortly after, leaving Ebron to cover up what had happened. In Ebron's statement to the court, he says he's very remorseful for what he did.
We failed to provide you the care you needed, and I failed to protect you from the harm of others. I have and will continue to ask for forgiveness for what I did and for what I failed to do.
Police say Ebron can't take back what he did, but say he is the reason they were able to recover Lonzie's remains. They say without his cooperation, the little boy's body would never have been found. In Jacksonville, Lisa Robbins, First Coast News, NBC 12, ABC 25.
Well, obviously, it was an emotional day in court, and that includes for the family, the parents of Ebron.
And Shelby Danielson continues our team coverage now.
It's been a very emotional day. The case for Lonzie Barton has really captivated this city. It's captivated law enforcement, and those details that came out today were tragic, and they were heartbreaking and shocking, not just for us in the media, but they were shocking to Ruben Ebron's father and his mother. Neither of them knew what was happening, and if you can imagine, they've been very open with us, the media, since all this began, and they say that they're very saddened by what happened, but they do want everyone to know that they believe what their son did, obviously, was wrong. Now, when Ruben Ebron entered that courtroom today in shackles in that orange jumpsuit, he looked at his parents, and really both of them were just emotionless. Now, Mr. Ebron, Ruben's father, echoes what everyone in this community has been saying, and that's that this little boy did not deserve this. And that's a little boy, Lonzie Barton, that he only met once. Now, he says he knew his son was going to make a statement of apology today, which his public defender read aloud in the courtroom, in which the judge replied to with criticism. But Mr. Ebron believes that his son, what he did was an accident. He says he stands by him. And why? He says because he has to.
Regardless of what he's done, that is my son. That is a product of myself and my wife. We raised him different. He made different choices. But when it's all said and done, that's my blood.
And Mr. Ebron says that Lana does deserve more charges. He believes she is equally responsible. And when asked what is at the center of all of this, from them lying to police to what happened to Lonzie Barton, he says it's all about selfishness. Reporting at the courthouse, Shelby Danielson, First Coast News, NBC 12, ABC 25.
There have been so many chapters to this very sad story, so I think it would serve us all well to take a second and look back at how we got here.
And let's start with July 23rd. That was the day that Lonzie Barton was last seen alive. And tonight, more in depth of this case from start to finish. Friday, July 24th, 2015. It was 2:19 in the morning when Ruben Ebron called JSO. He dialed 911 and said that his car had been stolen with Lonzie inside. An Amber Alert was issued, then a massive search began. The car was found nearby where it was reported missing from, but no sign of little Lonzie. Ebron was arrested on child neglect charges, and he has been in the Duval County Jail since.
Now, the search for Lonzie continued for days, you remember, and largely it was focused on the south side of Jacksonville. August 17th, Ebron pleads not guilty to all charges. August 19th, Lonzie's mother, Lana Barton, is arrested. The charges are child neglect and lying to police. So fast forward just a few weeks ago, January 6th, Lana Barton takes a plea deal to testify against Ruben Ebron, shortly thereafter testifying on the 8th. January 11th, investigators find the remains on the south side, believed to be those of that little boy, Lonzie Barton, after Ebron leads investigators to that scene. And here we are today. Ruben Ebron sentenced to 20 years in prison, pleading guilty to aggravated manslaughter as a result of a plea deal. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, he also received 11 years for 3 other charges: child neglect, lying to police, and tampering with evidence.
And today, police and prosecutors all gathered to talk about this case that they have been investigating for more than 6 months. State Attorney Angela Corey was asked about Lana Barton because, again, Ruben Ebron, prosecutors say, told them that he and Lana Barton left Lonzie alone. Listen to what Angela Corey said today.
Had this baby been found earlier, would there have been a different result? Possibly, but we'll never know.
And we want to bring in now defense attorney, former prosecutor Richard Kurtz, to talk more about this case. Just to give you a little recap, Lonzie's mother, Lana Barton, is in Baker County right now. She's being held on unrelated drug charges. She pleaded guilty here in Duval County to child neglect in connection to Lonzie's case. But the question a lot of people want to know is, could Lana Barton face charges related to his death?
Oh, absolutely, she could face the exact same charges that Ebron had based on what he testified to. Baker County is not in under Angela Corey's regime, so to speak. So I suspect that before they make any decisions about any charges, they're going to wait and see what happens in Baker County, and then they'll make their decisions. Because we have to remember, this wouldn't have started and we wouldn't be where we are today had it not been for her cooperation and coming forward.
Well, address this as an defense attorney. A lot of people look at this and go, just 20 years? The guy said he had something to do with this little boy's death.
Right.
Sure. No, I think it's a very appropriate disposition in this case. If you know Chief Hackney, Angela Corey, Rich Manti, London Kite, they are extremely passionate about their cases, extremely passionate about death of a child cases. They had to know every detail before they made this deal. It had to be what's best for the community so that we could get closure and find little Lonzie Barton.
And we heard them say today that if it had not been for Ruben Ebron agreeing to this plea deal, Lonzie's body might not have ever been found because he's the one who led police to him.
Oh, absolutely. And it'd be a very difficult case. You have 2 basically key witnesses in the case who have each lied in the beginning of the case. It's a very real possibility that the state could have lost the case at a jury trial. And so this was the way to get to find the child, because obviously she didn't know where he was at, because that could have been part of her plea deal, and she didn't need Ebron. So it was Ebron that ultimately got us here.
And I know, Richard, we're getting a little further down the road than where we are today, but as a defense attorney, if it looks like there probably will be charges against Lana Barton like we're talking about, how do you defend her when we found out what we found out today about the circumstances of that night?
It's not going to be a defense case. What's going to be is purely a plea negotiation case, because obviously she cooperated, got all of this started. I don't think they're going to have additional charges. They could. I think they're going to wait and see what happens in Baker County and then determine a fair sentence here in Duval.
Richard, thank you so much. We're going to be talking to you more about this case, going more in depth tonight at 6 o'clock. And coming up tonight at 5:30, we're going to be joined by a forensic investigator, former JSO crime scene detective, to talk about what it was like from the police perspective when Lonzie's remains were found and what they can know about the case from that aspect.
That's going to be a very interesting interview. Please stick around for that. That's at 5:30, and we will continue to stay on top of this case today as we have done for months and months and months, on air and online. In fact, you can read details of this entire case right now on firstcoastnews.com. And with that, back inside to you, Jeannie, and we'll see you in the next half hour.
All right, Shannon and Heather, thanks so much. Developing now, the